Let's talk for a few minutes about mindset training and mindset coaching. There's this kind of falls under life coaching, but I call it mindset training for now because that's where I want to focus. And there are a few different levels we can look at. So, if you want to improve your life, there's a few different stages. Now, the first one is the worldview. Do you have the worldview of someone who doesn't accept where they are and doesn't accept the processes they have right now in order to they have and the methods and the trajectory they're on to improve their life? Are you running into a wall, or are you just not accepting that? Not accepting where you are? Because, you know, most likely you can keep going the way you are, but it's a question of, do you accept that? Are you running up against a wall in where you think you should be, and then where you in reality running up against a wall in terms of meeting those standards? So there's the worldview. Okay, you're ready to change your life. Okay, the next one is the mindset. Now, the worldview is just like, it's like, are you ready to confess, basically? And then the mindset is the mindset is what you need to unlock your ability to actually take the steps to literally improve your life. Now, this is where sort of hippie stuff comes in. It's like there's a lot of mindset talk in our culture now, and a lot of it gets kind of shit on because it doesn't get, it's all talk, doesn't get followed up on. So, where I kind of see myself going is I do want to carve into that space anyway, because I do understand how important mindset is for unlocking the ability to solve your own problems. Now, what I mean is, if you come to me and say, "Hey, I have these problems, I have these habits, I have this life, and I want to move up, I want to level up as a person, and I kind of want to, I'm having a hard time triangulating what I need to do." Okay, if you don't have the mindset ready, then you're going to make excuses. You're just going to keep failing because you're focused on the literal steps, or the literal results you need to pursue or to achieve, whether it's losing weight, making money, the basic stuff, saving time. There's all kinds of areas in your life where you want to free up time, free up money, or improve your quality improve your health, improve your communication. And if you go straight to the problem, if you go straight to the literal parts, let me give you an example. I got really focused on my lack of confidence in speaking, and then my actual lack of quality in speaking. Is this for me? This is a whole sector of my life because it was also about communication. I got locked onto the need to actually project my voice better. Now, the thinking here was not totally flawed. It was like, well, when I talk, people notice that I don't actually speak from my stomach. I don't really project my voice. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that there was like a whole stomach, throat. I didn't know there was this whole dynamic of how you project your voice. And of course, singers know this. Lots of people know this. And I was like, oh, I should really just take. I think even someone suggested to me, hey, you can take voice lessons, you can take singing lessons, but there's also just voice lessons, if you want to speak better. And I got logged onto, okay, this is a valid thing. Like, have someone help me actually project my voice better. Because if I can project my voice better, I'll be a more confident speaker. I'll be more willing to speak, more willing to communicate, and that will kind of help my problem. And that might have been true. Um, what I found instead was I didn't get around to actually doing these lessons. Now, there's a couple angles of that. I think the reason that the lessons were not the thing I needed most was also the reason I never followed through on getting those lessons. I just put it off. It's you have to find someone with availability. You have to find your availability. There's actually all these steps. When you really break it down, there's actually a lot of steps to um, you know spending time with a coach, or spending time with someone, to especially in person, to practice something like this. So I just went about my life, but I did work on a lot of areas of my life, and I really got locked onto working on the emotional areas. And this was just a matter of, okay, I have a presentation at school. I'm too nervous to really speak up in front of a class. I'm too nervous to really assert myself, and I'm not okay with the quality that I'm prepared to deliver. And so I need to find a way around that. Okay, I'm going to script out my presentation. I'm going to practice it before I do that. beyond that, I have to get into the mindset. And I was doing all this mindset research, or not research, but I was at this time learning a lot about mindset, and I didn't really want to. I didn't really value it, but I learned it. I internalized it, and I was able to say, okay, if I'm going to do a presentation, just I'm going to be hard on myself after. That's really the stress of like I'm not meeting some some unconscious standard for what I need to achieve here. And if I really bring back, if I really step back and say, well, I don't have the skills at this time to do this really effectively up to the standards that I have in my head, I'm going to need practice, and this is the practice. So the kind of standard I need to have consciously is I'm going to make a fool of myself in front of this class, because that's going to match how I feel. I'm going to feel like a fool. But if I kind of validate that ahead of time, I go up, I give the presentation, it goes okay because I prepared okay. I come away from it, I feel stupid, I feel like a fool, I feel like I talked too much, or I didn't talk enough, and I feel stupid. And it's like, but I already set that standard before I did this, that the goal was to feel like it was to make a fool of myself. Now I didn't actually make a fool of myself, but I feel like I did. But now I feel good because that was the goal, that I met the goal. And that actually worked because I planned that beforehand. And it's like, well, I can only feel so bad because I did meet the goal. And I might still feel embarrassed because I am anxious because I talked in front of people. That didn't go away, but I didn't feel bad afterwards so much. So that's doing that, you know, playing that out. I got these reps, and I got emotionally stronger at speaking, because it wasn't just what I shared was part of it, and the other part was, well, I'm committing to this identity and this worldview of I need to be stronger in this area. Okay, I got the reps. Okay, now I am stronger in this area, and when I say stronger, I mean more emotionally committed, less emotionally afraid. Like I'm not as anxious about speaking. Now I didn't address my ability to project my voice on a physical level, but I actually figured out the physical part sort of along the way. Now I could be better. When I listen to this video back, I'm going to say, oh, you're talking out one side of your mouth, or you're, doing all these, I can critique all these things, and someone professional could maybe guide me better there. And maybe that's something I'll still do. But my point here is that there's an order of operations, and, I'm in a much better position now to make smaller improvements. The big improvement, the big kind of unlock and step forward here was the emotional component, the emotional component, which is, the mindset was the important part of okay, I had the mindset of how I'm going to deliver this presentation or talk to this person. And once I'm not emotionally resisting it anymore, there's actually a lot I'm able to figure out on my own. There's a lot I can figure out and unlock on my own in my own time, because the mindset's unlocked. Oh, because what I'm saying is, and I didn't say this explicitly before, I did get better at projecting my voice after I crossed these emotional barriers and got more practice speaking. So, I could have spent all that time, I could have spent this time and money to learn how to project my voice physically better, and maybe that would have helped somewhat. But the point is, I didn't even need to do that to make the improvements that I really cared about. The improvements I cared about came from crossing that emotional barrier. So if I'm going to work with you to improve your life because you don't accept the level you're at in some area, then let's start with the mindset. I think that's where there needs to be more conscious attention there for a lot of people, for me and for a lot of people. You look at, oh, like I'm having trouble with my speaking. I'm having trouble with just having a routine in the morning of my exercise. And, if you need to solve that at an internal level first. And I think what I see most people do is they make the excuses, or they make the complaints, or they have their fixation on the physical thing. Like, oh, I need a better routine. It's like I need better skills in this thing. It's like, if you have the internal identity of I'm going to do that thing, I need that, then you're going to figure out those solutions. Now, for me, as someone else from outside helping you, then I want to be able to work at multiple levels, but I want to start with mindset. Now, if I start with mindset and then you unlock the mindset to attain your goal in some area, that might be all you need. You might figure it out. You might have this sort of sudden genius syndrome moment of, okay, now that I have the emotional barriers crossed, I actually already know what I need. And I think that's going to be true in a lot of areas where it's like, you know how you work best. Like, you better than I do. And if it's like, oh, I need better productivity, it's like, okay, well, how does your brain learn and work? How do you deal with information? Are you more like hyper focused, or are you more ADD all over the place? I'm on the one side of that. Like, I had the hyper fixation, so I need to learn how to um, keep myself, you know, add some variety, and just there's all these responses to my way of working that I know, and I don't know all the other ones for other people, but you probably do. But that being said, it's like in any area that I can help with the details, I will. I've learned how to break down tasks. I've learned how to organize a lot of information, a lot of different chores. I have a lot of different projects going on, and I try to keep track of all of those. So I want to work at every level, but it starts with the mindset, and so that's why I think of this as that's why I call this mindset training, and that's really where what I'm processing here is with where I'm trying to fit in, and then what is really the product I'm trying to deliver in terms of what's the service I'm trying to provide here, and why is it that service and not why am I focused on this area?